Lovecraftian horror with Barbara Crampton and Heather Graham? Yes, please. Let's talk about the new horror film, Suitable Flesh. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Your Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Suitable Flesh, which comes to theaters, digital, and on demand on October 27, 2023. It is a new horror film that is adapted from an H.P. Lovecraft story. It stars Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton. It kind of has everything you would hope for in a horror movie, but my hot take is, look, I think you should actually pass on this. I was a little actually sad about this because I really love the cast. I love the style and the premise. But to me, none of that could save a film that was kind of overly slow and had some very strange decisions to kind of move the story along. So I obviously didn't love it as much as I was expecting to, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off when I get to the ending section. Before that, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in A Suitable Flesh, you have Beth, who is a psychologist, probably psychotherapist, one of those. I'm not 100% sure which one, but she talks to people and makes them feel better. She has a successful practice. She has a loving husband, a little quirky, but still loving husband. And she seems to be having a great, great life until she meets this young kid, this college kid named Asa, who has his own psychological issues. And after she meets with Asa, she can't stop thinking about his psychological issues, and those seem to infect other aspects of her life. So things I liked about this movie. The first, I love the cast. Like, you got Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton in a horror movie. Like, it's fantastic. They both do a great job with their performances. I also really liked Judah Lewis as Asa. He has to play a role that has a lot of kind of ups and downs, a lot of swings, and I think he did a really good job. So overall, the cast is really phenomenal, especially for a horror film. You can't really ask for more. The second thing I liked the practical effects. This is a film that really focused on the practical effects. There's lots of very bloody practical effects. They're not like throughout, but there are some very kind of extreme bloody effects in this film. And when they come out, they look fantastic. And the last thing I liked about this movie, I liked the premise. It has a really great kind of overall premise, a psychological kind of horror film, a slow buildup. All of this seems like the makings of a film that I would have really loved, but it didn't connect to me for some reason. I'm not 100% sure why. It seems like a movie I should have loved, but I didn't like it. So going into that, things I didn't love as much about this film. The first, I don't know, less than stellar effects. It really is only kind of one scene where I didn't love the effects as much. There was one scene where there is a lot of blood and it just kind of like flows out almost like a hose was opened up. It is very different from the later scenes where the blood was a little bit thicker, a little bit more kind of like, I don't know, viscous. In this one, it almost looked kind of humorous when it happened because it was just flowing out so much. It did actually look like a hose was like being sprayed out from the person. So I didn't love that as much, and it kind of dampened a very important scene for me. The second thing I didn't love, it's a slow movie. Look, it's supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be a little more psychological, but I did not love the pace. I thought it kind of progressed a little bit too slowly. I thought it could have like picked up the pace a little bit. It's not that bad. But overall, it is a movie that definitely takes your time, and I did not really keep my interest. The third thing I didn't love as much, I'll call it a strange style. This film had like almost like a noir kind of style, with some of the music felt a little noirish. It had some like scenes that would transition where it would like go into like a pinhole kind of look and then kind of open up like that, like an older movie style, which I could appreciate, but the movie doesn't really kind of take it to the extreme. It isn't like an older style movie. It is set in modern times. It doesn't feel like a throwback film. It feels like it has throwback elements, like the poster looks a little bit throwback. Those scene transitions did. Some of the music felt a little bit kind of old school, but overall it was a little weird because it didn't feel like it really kind of dug in. It felt like the film was normal, and then occasionally you'd have this like old style effect, which it wasn't, I guess, consistent enough for me. If they're going to do that, they should kind of fully embrace it and have it be like an older noir style movie. And the last thing I didn't love as much, this one seems minor, but it was real weird. There's this rotating camera effect. I guess it's also kind of a throwback to that older style movie, but occasionally during like a really intense scene, the camera will just like rotate like 360 degrees, like essentially like track on the image and then rotate like this so the person kind of spins or the thing kind of spins. It doesn't look that great. I think it's supposed to show like unsettling or like like something that is so mind-blowing that the person couldn't manage it, but it didn't really. Again, it looked a little off for me. Maybe that was an effect that was trying to like also evoke this noir older film style, but for me it just looked a little bit strange. And the last thing I didn't love as much, and this is actually the most important thing for me, I kind of lost it in my notes, so it was actually first, but now it's gonna be last. some strange decisions. There are some very strange decisions that happen in this movie from various characters. They are there to push the story along, but they seem to be very off and not kind of in line with what is happening. I'll talk about that more in the ending, but to me, some of the decisions just felt a little weird. Like, why would you ever do that? And it kind of hurt the overall storytelling because these people are making these decisions. So, all that being said, Suitable Flesh comes to theaters, digital, and on demand October 27, 2023. Like I said, I think you should probably pass on it. But you know what? If you check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Let me know I got right and wrong. I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to go into the ending right now. So if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So like I said, Beth has a successful practice. She has a loving husband. And then this kid, Asa, comes into her practice without an appointment and just like starts talking to her about his psychological issues. Now, what Beth should have done is been like, look, you don't have an appointment. Come back when you have an appointment, because she seems to be a very by the book person. But she doesn't. She talks to him. And during her talk, he describes, this abuse that seems to be going on from his dad. He describes the like paranoia. And then partway through, he seems to have a seizure, and he like seizes up. He like seizes for a very long time. He does that like crazy camera thing. And one of the things that happens is his hand gets like kind of not deformed, but like into like a claw almost, and doesn't stop that. So when this happens, his personality completely changes. He like goes into like more of like a smooth talking predator character. Before he was like a scared boy. Now he's like a smooth talking, confident person who like hits on Beth, sexually assaults her in her office, and then leaves. And Beth, like, for some reason, gives him her number for further psychological help, which I thought was really weird. Like, I assumed she should have just like pushed him out. And then after this, she just like can't stop thinking about him. This kid that like came into her office and then like changed and then assaulted her. She, I think, is thinking of him for like to write a paper about, to like get notoriety. But that's not actually what's happening, because then later on, when she is having sex with her husband, she fantasized about this kid. Again, very weird. Like, they met once. He was real creepy. He like assaulted her, and now she's like fantasizing about him. It didn't lay the groundwork for this. You'd think that there would be like some other instance, some other reference to show why this thing would be like infatuating Beth. But in any event, she becomes infatuated with him, and eventually she goes to like visit his house. He told her where he lived. She goes to visit his house for some reason, I guess to check on him. When she gets there, no one answers the door. So she comes in like, why? Why are you going into this person's house? This person that you've met like once and then assaulted you. Like, why would you go into his house? She goes in, no one's there. She like walks around, like starts yelling for people. Again, very weird. And she finds an old man like at a table, seemingly passed out, asking for some medication. Beth gets the medication, gives it to him. Apparently he has a very bad heart condition, and so she gives him the medicine, and that kind of seems to fix him. Now, after she calls 911 because this man is having like a seizure, and then gives him the pills, Asa comes in and says, "No, let him die, let him die." And she's like, what are you talking about?" And then Asa starts talking about how like that time in their office, that was the second time. And stuff always comes in threes. If he does it a third time, then he completely takes over. Kind of implying that his dad is able to like take over his personality. And if he does it a third time, then that'll be it. And so Asa just wants to let him die, wants this person to die. Beth doesn't. Beth doesn't want him to die. So she gave him his pills. She called the doctor, and the dad wakes up. And when the dad wakes up, Asa tries to attack him. The dad is able to kind of like, I don't know, overpower him, or at least stop him, and says some random words into Asa's ear. And when this happens, they both start convulsing. And I was like, this was interesting, but I was like, Asa, yo, if you like just wanted your dad to die, why did you go see Beth? I mean, I know she's like a psychologist, but if you just wanted your dad to die, just kill your dad. Like don't kill your dad. Like that would be bad. But if that's your goal, why did you bring Beth into this whole story? Why is this whole conundrum happening? Again, it was a weird decision. There are many weird decisions at the start to kind of make this movie happen. So after this happens, after they switch, the dad is like passed out. Asa is now kind of in the like more confident predator type role. And Beth and Asa then hook up in the room. They have sex in the room with this like passed out, potentially dead person. Again, very strange decisions, very strange decisions. And as they are having sex, like Asa's voice gets more and more like demonic, more and more like evil. And then when they both finish, they start convulsing. not in a good way. They kind of have the same seizures that Asa and his dad did, and it seems like they switch personas as well. So it seems like this thing is able to switch personas using some sort of words. It causes the consciousnesses to shift, and then if it apparently does it the third time, then it is permanent. The first time is probably short, second time is a little bit longer, and third time is permanent. So this effect lasts for a short time. They switch back, and when Beth is back in her body, she seems confused. She's like, "My mind was in your body," and the demonic Asa person was like, "I want your body." So clearly, this thing seems to be kind of like trying to find a new body to be in. Then after this, the father like wakes up, looks confused, says like, "It's me, it's me." Asa then goes over with a knife and stabs him in the throat and decapitates him. And this is where like the blood looked really bad, like it was just like pouring out like a hose almost. But Asa then goes and decapitates him. A candle is knocked over, and this is pretty clearly an LED candle, and it like rolls over to a curtain, and the curtain catches on fire in a very kind of like not great looking way. So after all this happens, Beth is understandably concerned. She runs out, she heads back home, and she tells her husband what happened. And her husband is obviously not very happy about this, and it causes her to have to like it causes them to separate for a little bit. Now, Beth tries to move on with her life. She tries to continue her therapy, but she just can't really focus as much. Obviously, like she had a very weird experience and apparently had like a demon possess her body. So yeah, she's gonna be a little distracted. She tries to continue with her therapy, but it doesn't quite work. She also tells her friend Danny, who is played by Barbara Crampton. Danny is also a psychologist. She works at like an institution, and so Beth is telling Danny about what happened, and Danny just chalks up to like her having an out-of-body experience. That is also Beth's specialty, so it kind of makes sense. But Beth is like, no, this was different. Well, Danny doesn't really believe her, but maybe she'll believe her later. Eventually, Beth texts her husband saying that she's coming home, like she's sorry, she wants to make it up. So she goes back home, and this day, you see Asa also like in the basement of the house that apparently burned a little bit, but didn't, I guess, burn a ton. He's in the basement of the house. He chains himself to a pole and then calls Beth. And for some reason, Beth picks up. I don't know why you'd pick up. Like, that doesn't seem to be a good decision, but she does. And when she does, Asa says the like demonic words into her ear, and that causes them to switch again. And this time it seems a little bit more permanent. Beth wakes up in Asa's body, chained in the basement. Not a good look. And Asa wakes up in Beth's body, and the demon character seems pretty happy to be in Heather Graham's body. He seems to be enjoying this new experience. I don't think the demon had been a female before. Maybe it had. It's kind of not really clear, but seems to be enjoying being a female. Heather Graham does a great job with this also. Same with Judah Lewis. When they change, it's really fun to kind of see their personalities change as well. So while Beth is now in Asa's body in the basement, she calls Danny and gets her to come down there. And Danny comes very confused, but Beth is able to convince her that that she is in Asa's body. And while this is happening, the demon in Beth's body is having a lot of fun in the house, having a lot of fun with her husband. Some cops come by, and it's a funny scene because they come by to check on something else that happened. But that demon is kind of causing chaos over in that house. Beth is in Asa's body, trapped in the basement with Danny there. After Beth is able to convince Danny that she is in Asa's body, then they have seizures again. Then they kind of switch back, and so this all happens. Now the demon is back in Asa's body, and Beth is back in her body. Now Beth realizes what's happening. She tells her husband to leave them, get away, that she loves him, that she can't be near him because she's dangerous. And so she leaves. She goes back to her office, her psychologist's office, and that is when Asa shows up. It looks like for a little bit like Beth is about to like kill herself, like to stop this whole thing. But before that happens, Asa shows up. Beth is able to kind of use hypnosis to kind of like cause Asa to get lulled, and then she stabs him in the face, like right in the head. That seems like a very difficult thing to do. Like she stabs him through his skull. I don't actually know if you can. I don't really know if I want to know if you can, but Beth just right in the skull. Then she pushes Asa / demon person out of the window of her office, falls down on the ground, splat. You think maybe they're dead. So Beth is in shock, clearly. She goes to get in her car, and when she gets in her car, Asa like stands up. And so Beth, having none of this, puts her car in reverse, backs up, and boom, hits the body multiple times. And this is a fantastic scene because you are looking out of like the camera is seeing Beth looking out of her windshield, and you see the little like backup camera from the car, and all you see is the backup camera going like the car is getting closer to Asa and then out, closer to Asa and out. It is a really fantastic shot. It was very clever. I wasn't sure like why it was showing that view until you like noticed that backup camera. Like, oh, that is fantastic. So as you can imagine, this causes the cops to come, and when they see Beth has killed this boy, they get her committed because she is also saying that this thing is going to like possess her. This is when Beth and Danny get kind of reunited. Danny is watching over Beth, and Beth is like, you have to destroy it. Like, you have to destroy the brain. And Danny's like, no, the thing is like the boy is dead. Like, you don't have to worry about it. And Beth is like, no, you have to destroy the brain. So while this is happening, the Asa's body is getting autopsied. And while the kind of autopsy person is like starting the autopsy, the body like wakes up, the eyes wake up, and it speaks the words. And this was a really weird scene because I had thought that you would have to like have the words spoken to you, but in this one, the body just kind of like wakes up and like speaks the words, and then they both start convulsing. It seems like maybe the third time is less intense, I guess, or like less of a requirement to actually hear because they've been connected twice. That's kind of implied, but it's never like fully fleshed out. But that would, I guess, be the implication because the body just speaks the words in the morgue, and it and Beth kind of switch. So now that's the third time. Seems like it's permanent. Not good for Beth. Beth is now stuck in this like horribly mutilated body, and the demon is in Beth's body. So as you can imagine, when the demon takes over Beth, it becomes a little more aggressive. It like tries to hit on Danny. Danny's having none of this. Danny heard Beth earlier, kind of was convinced when Beth was in Ace's body, so she at least knows that this thing can do it, and so she quickly comes to the realization that that the demon is possessing Beth. And also, so Danny leaves, and when this happens, you see the like body of Asa, which now has Beth in it, like dragging itself out and like collapsing on the floor. Danny goes to try to like revive the body, goes and like tries to like shock the body to like help it survive. And I was curious here because like I thought Beth is more of like a psych doctor, and yet she is trying to like revive this body. Whatever, we'll let it pass. Maybe she has maybe she went to medical school. I don't know, but she tries to revive the body. And after it seems like that body it can't be revived, this obviously makes Danny upset. She goes and confronts Beth, who is the demon now, and they fight. And this is the like Heather Graham, Barbara Crampton fight that you have always wanted to see. They duke it out. They fight for a while. So I'm a little unclear here about what happened. So Beth and Danny are fighting, and eventually Beth shoots Asa. Which is Beth, right? Like that is what that is where Beth is. The demon has Beth. She shoots Asa, and then eventually they're fighting, and they do the ritual again. And this causes them to switch, and now and then also shoots the cop that is defending Danny. And so now it seems like it's just Beth and Danny. It seems like they're at a standoff. Beth has the gun. Danny is, Beth, the demon person, has the gun. Danny is hostage. Beth shoots Danny one last time, but it's out of bullets. It's a revolver. The demon like used all its bullets on Ace's body, which had Beth's personality, and the cop. So now it's just the two of them. They fight. They go hand in hand with a scalpel, and then Beth starts chanting the words again to switch them over, I guess, one more time. And you're not 100% sure why, but then the next scene, you see Danny talking to Eddie, and she is trying to console Eddie. She's talking about what happened, and he says how much he loved Beth. And then during this, Danny gets a little aggressive, like kind of a hallmark of the demon. Danny becomes a little more aggressive towards Eddie. Not like very, very aggressive, but she gets close to him. She like kisses him very close on the cheek, right next to his lips, says to call him if he needs anything. It seems like maybe the demon might have possessed Danny and is now looking for another host. And after this, after Eddie leaves, he's a little bit thrown off, but I don't know, maybe he's also excited. You're not 100% sure. He leaves, and Danny goes inside. She takes her glasses off. She takes a pull of vape, but then doesn't like that. Rolls her own like old-fashioned cigarette, which is what the demon would always do. Starts smoking that. And it seems like she has now become the demon. And then after you realize this, you're like, well, what happened to Beth? Did she die? And then you see Beth committed in the institution, just kind of like mumbling like, I'm me. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm a doctor. So it seems like the demon switched it at the very last minute, got out of that confinement, got into Danny's body, is now kind of like moving on, and Danny's personality is stuck in Beth, who is now committed in the psych ward. So there we go. That is the end. It seems like the demon won. It seems like it was able to overcome everything. But that is Suitable Flesh. It comes to theaters digital on demand on October 27, 2023. Like I said, I didn't like it as much as I was expecting to, given the cast, given HP Lovecraft, and given like Lovecraftian horror. I thought I would really love this, and I just didn't. So my recommendation is to pass on it. But if you check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Let me know what I got right and wrong. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.